Namaste Yogis. Welcome to Bhakti Yoga live stream. Today's practice, you'll probably want 2 blocks. And we're going to start out easy cross-legged seat. For a lot of us, it helps to have a blanket or two. We're going to get into some forward bending at the end of practice as well. So blankets will be helpful again towards the end. So feel free to grab a couple. Elevate your seat a little bit to bring some ease in there. Let's try and get the sitting bones well grounded onto the blankets or the earth. Right. The classic Sukhasana, we cross around the middle of the shin. So you want to allow your shin bone to kind of move into the middle of the calf there and flex the feet a little. Feel the very tops of the thighs where they meet the pelvis drop down into the earth and get nice and heavy. And feel free to close the eyes. Just allow your awareness and attention to move within. Start to sip the breath in from the tip of the nose, deep down into the belly. And let it go back out. Feel free to let it go out the mouth the first couple of rounds with a little sigh if that feels right. Just letting things soften and relax and melt. We want to take the breath in with a sense of gratitude and appreciation for life. Just drink it in from the bottom of the belly, fill the top chest, and then all the way to empty, squeezing belly to back. And just take a moment to gather the breath down in the pelvis as you inhale, moving your awareness and attention. It's right down into the base of the pelvis as you breathe in and breathe out. Just allowing your attention to pool down there, softening anything that's touching ground, letting it get a little wider, a little more connected to whatever you're seated on, even a little heavier. And just feeling in. As you breathe, you can take a little extra weight over to the right side. Doesn't take a big move to get all your weight to the right sitting bone. And then just feel a little shift then over to the left, all the weight over there. Sometimes one of those feels more natural than the other. We'll have our favorite hip. And see if you can come back right and left and ground both evenly into the mat. We can use a little cat's breath-like action. If you want to take your hands out of your knees, you can exhale, squeeze your belly to your back, and start to find a little rounding through the low back, tucking of the chin, letting your back open up, squeezing the belly back and in. You can rock all the way to the back edge of those sitting bones. And then start to pull yourself forward and up on the inhale. You want to try and get all the way to the front edge of the sitting bones. You can move your upper arms back. Shoulder blades glide down the back as well, and you can feel that kind of nudge your heart through the upper arms. And then all the way back to empty. So we're just going to do a few of these, finding a little rounding on the exhales. All the way back to the back edge of the sitting bones, and then all the way to the front. Just noticing what you feel, noticing if one feels more natural than the other, if you have a preference. And then we want to find something in the middle. So let's come all the way up. Front edge, big inhale. Try and keep that lift and that length all the way from the sitting bones up to the crown. And just find an exhale supporting the lower belly, moving it into the back, and allowing it to kind of zipper all the way up to those lower front ribs. See if you can get a feeling of the lower back lengthening, tailbone and sacrum earthward as all the breath moves out. And then redirect the breath into the back body as you inhale, and see if you can take it back into the lower back, high waist area, right around your kidneys. Letting the back ribs move back and out sideways, so those lower 12th ribs expand, the flowing ribs. Feel like they're moving out to the sides. That breath's going to go up the back, all the way to the top chest, and all the way to empty. Just find yourself sitting on those sitting bones as you exhale. A little lift through the front of the pelvis, length through the back. And then big inhale. Upper arms can move back in space as much as they comfortably can. And dropping the shoulder blades down the back. See if you can feel the bottom tips of your shoulder blades move in. And allow your chest to lift up. And if you feel things breaking here where your ribs and your spine come together, be really mindful to exhale. Find the transverse abdominis and knit those lower front ribs in. While trying to keep your heart open at the top. Right? So the two different actions. The exhale is going to make you want to round through the shoulders. Or we do a little resistance there. Give it another breath, just feeling breath to the very top of the chest. And from the very top of the chest, you've got a little articulation there in your sternum. And find a little lift from there. So let's lengthen up from where the skull and the spine meet in the back of the head and neck. And all the breath out. Lengthening your spine up through the crown and down through the tail. If you can feel a nice sense of axial extension, a little spaciousness through the spine. Breathe right up the front of the spine. Or I should say down the front of the spine as you inhale. All the way to the top chest. And then all the way to empty. Zipper it up, belly to back. And resist a little rounding through the upper back, but allow the lower back to fill out and back, right? So kidneys stay kind of nice and open and free back there. Your adrenal glands live right on top. So we want to keep that freedom as we move through our practice. Right? A way to visualize this might be to see your hips as a wheel. Wheel that lifts through the front and drops down through the back. But we've got a different wheel sitting on top of it. That wheel lifts up the back, right around the lower 12th rib, goes over the top chest and down the front, bringing the lower front ribs together on the exhale and pulling the bottom sternum to the navel. So it makes like an interesting figure eight if you can feel the breath moving in, lifting from the front of the pelvis kind of all the way up the back body. And that mirrors that kind of psoas line that moves from the front pelvis all the way to the back. And then exhaling down the front. Just get a little knitting of the front ribs in and the transverse and rectus abdominis, doing a little job to help keep the back actively long and spacious. So let's give it one last breath here in a meditative way. And as you're ready, you can release your hands out to the sides and just give yourself a little room here, fingers down. Keep the breath moving in and out and that feeling of right and left, front and back. And we're going to let's take the right arm straight up. As you lift up, you can lengthen up through the right arm. Get a lot of space in there, but try and draw the thumb side down a little bit so you get a little softening down the back of the neck. And then we'll walk the left fingers out as far as they comfortably want to go. You can bend into the left elbow. And work to inhale, try and maybe even look up and lean back into right shoulder. And exhale. Squeeze front and back together and maybe move a little further to the left, but keep that right sitting bone grounded. You can even let your left ear drop towards your left shoulder. Breathe in, try and roll the belly and the heart up a little bit to the sky, leaning back into shoulder blades. And exhale. Squeeze front and back together, but bring a little opening into the lower back. Right? Give it another breath. See how deep you can go, keeping that right sitting bone fully grounded. Can you keep as much weight in the right side as in the left side? Get all the breath out. And we'll inhale all the way up. And exhale. Feel your center. Left arm reaches. And just spend a breath here. Draw down a little through the thumb side of the arm. And lengthen up through the pinky side so you get a little longer through the outer edges. And you can let the right fingers walk out as far as they would like, squeezing front and back. Just working to keep the ribs stacked on top of the hips even as we go sideways. Breathing well. Bending that right elbow if you'd like. Right ear towards the right shoulder. And left arm reaching. Maybe roll the head up if it feels good on the head and neck, but keep that left sitting bone grounded. Can you keep both sides even as you continue to open up the left side and feel that space in between the ribs and the hips. In between each rib, open a little more. One last breath. We'll inhale up. And we'll exhale. Take the legs straight out in front. You can plant your hands by your hips for Dandasana. I'm just going to turn it around. So you get a better view. We're going to lift the chest. Feel the wheels, front of the pelvis lifting, back of the pelvis lengthening. Back body can get a little support from the hands. Can you move the upper arms back in space? Shoulder blades down and in. But still get some breath to fill the lower back ribs and let them expand wide side. All the way to the top chest. And then bottom sternum to navel as you exhale. A little lift from the very top of the sternum and back of the skull. Breathing in. And breathing out. Let's bring the hands a little further back behind. And give your shoulders a big loop so you can really feel the shoulder heads lift. Loop down the back as you inhale and press the hands firmly as you exhale. Hold the breath to empty. Pull the bottom sternum down and in a little bit to find that return towards center. And then give yourself a little more pop through the upper chest if you can. Leaning back into the shoulder blades. Chin stays tucked. If you need to, you can gaze down into the cheeks. Feel the breath move all the way in and all the breath out. One more time, big breath in. We'll exhale. Squeeze it all together. You can bring hands to heart. We're going to change the cross of the legs. Once again, sit up nice and tall. And we'll do both sides. So fingers out to the side. Nice big inhale, right arm reaching. Exhale, drop that right sitting bone down and get it anchored. Inhale. You can start to look towards the right if you'd like, and exhale, drop in. Externally rotating the upper arm. Front and back, working together to hold center. Really lengthening the right side, but what's happening on the left side? Is it completely crunched up, or is there any way of kind of lifting and lengthening and making space through both sides and then rolling up a little more through the ribs, keeping the belly firming in, using those shoulder blades to open the heart area. Let's give it an inhale to come up and exhale down the left arm up and second side. Let's feel your way in. Last few breaths. Belly and heart rolling up. Front and back hugging together. Inhale and exhale. Let's inhale, rise. And exhale, hands down. Stretch out the legs one more time. Hands back behind you. Loop the shoulders down the back. Chest gets that nice big lift. As much bend in the elbows as you'd like to continue to firm the belly back and in. Feel the bottom sternum pulling down into the navel. And then breathing into the back. Lifting up the heart. Like a little shoulder blade shelf back there for you. And exhaling. Let's give it one last breath. And we'll release. Change the cross of the legs one more time. Bring the fingers out to the side. Inhale. Right arm up. And take a dip to the left again. Exhaling. Get in there as far as it feels good. Breathe in fully. And we're going to exhale the right hand down over on the left side. Keep that right sitting bone grounded. Lengthen here. Always kind of try and find the diagonal. Kind of right over the left knee. Pull the shoulders down the back. Squeeze front and back together and feel the length. Notice if your right sitting bone is coming with you. Try and keep it grounded and fold out any amount. So continue to lengthen heart. Shoulder blades pulling deep down. You can stay on the fingertips if that feels good. Squeezing front and back together. You should get a little extra stretch kind of between the right hip and the right side of the rib cage. So I'll keep going and try and give that right side a little extra love, a little extra breath. Try to lengthen on the inhales out through the heart and crown. Keep the heart open and squeeze the belly to the back. And let's give it a last breath. And we can fold in for a moment, softening down. That feels good. And then fingertips or just to lift through the chest to move to center. Breathe in. And breathe out. Fold down the center line. Push-pull with the hands a little bit. Feel the shoulder blades living on the back. So the upper arms continue to move back. Shoulder blades glide down the back. Top chest reaches out all the way through the crown. As you squeeze your belly to your back, you're kind of on the tops of the thighs there with your sitting bones reaching back behind you. Right? So give it a last breath. Try to get out of rounding the lower back. Find some length all the way out. And one last time. Squeeze it out. Bottom of the breath. Now round in. Just let it all go. And then come back out. Inhale, fingertips, long spine. Exhale, rise to sit. Let's change the cross of the legs. Inhale, exhale. And left arm up. And we're headed to the right. And keep that left sitting bone grounded. And give it another breath or two, finding your way down. Breathe in. Breathe out. The left arm's going to the right. Let's go ahead and walk yourself onto the diagonal. And work to find some length there. Tension to that left sitting bone as it will try to leave the earth. For most of us. So lengthen out. Fold in deep. Just ease your way in. Just having a nice, slow warm-up for today's practice. Don't worry, we will get into some stuff. But it's nice to take our time and just really pay attention to what's happening inside. Building awareness as we breathe and letting the breath be the most important piece here. Left sitting bone grounded, left side full of breath. A little extra stretch maybe through the left side waist, down low there. Quadratus lumborum. Give it another big inhale, and exhale, flop it down. Maybe spend a breath here. And when you're ready, back up on the fingertips and round to center. Exhale. Find a little more length, upper arms back, shoulder blades down, and belly to the back, all the breath out. A couple more rounds. Breathe in and breathe out. And last breath, if you want to fold all the way in and just flop down. Let it all go. And come back out halfway. Nice long spine. Exhale to sit nice and tall. This time we're going to take the hands back behind for the in-breath. Stack the feet on the earth, exhaling. And let's give it a nice big inhale to reverse table. So knees are going to stack over the ankles. Press the shoulders into the back, uplift, uplift. And then lengthen your tailbone out towards those knees. Let the bottom sternum hug the navel a little bit. See if you can really press those hands and loop those shoulder blades down the back and push them up in there. Chin in, back of the neck long. Give it another breath. And we'll come all the way down on the exhale, slow and steady. Go ahead and cross the shins again. Just rock yourself forward. Take a couple of rounds of cat's breath just to bring a little breath and movement together. Spine in between the shoulder blades, heart opening. And belly to back, head and tail dropping. You can press everything to the earth. Sometimes that helps you just get a little more out of it. Inner thighs soften back, tailbone roots earthward. Just another couple breath here. So work to Keep it wide through the chest. Shoulder blades well down the back. Get all the breath to empty. Curl the toes under. Round in as much as you'd like. Push the earth away. And then inhaling, we're going to find a neutral spine. So a little bit of softening of the spine in between the blades. I want you to hug your belly back and in until you feel a nice flat back, and you can get your knees up off the ground a couple inches. Crown dead ahead, tailbone lengthening back like a little baby plank. One long spine. Give it a breath in and a breath out. Let's inhale, take the right leg straight back on the earth here. So to stabilize the hips and the pelvis, you might have to continue to really pull the left thigh straight back to the wall behind you. We want to lift the very top of the right thigh high to the sky. See if you can feel the outside edge of your right leg, hug it a little to the middle. So the inseam of the right leg rolls up. Set the left knee down on an exhale, belly up and in a little bit, and then all the way out through the crown, like your crown's coming out of your right heel. Inhale. Make sure everything stays square on the exhale, so continue to pull left hip back, squeeze right outer thigh to the midline. We're going to take the left arm out by the ear. So find yourself in a little contralateral stretch here. You can inhale, right leg up, push through the heel, firm the front of the leg, even the quadricep. So front and back of the leg are hugging around the bone. Front belly is hugging up and in to lengthen your tailbone back. And the upper back's getting a little softening in between the shoulder blades to lengthen heart and crown forward. Give it another big inhale. And we'll set it down on the exhale. And then again. Shoulders down the back, both of them even. Belly to back, knees up. Continue to breathe well. Inhale. Left leg back. Exhale. Let's pull the very top of the right thigh straight back. Squeeze. Left outer leg in. Try and keep a little heart opening. Belly deepening. Top of the left thigh reaching for the sky. And exhale. Right knee down. Inhale. Get a little longer if it's available. Exhale. Continue those actions. Right thigh pulling straight back. Left outer leg hugging in. And we'll inhale. Right arm out by the ear. Notice if your upper back got really round. Can you soften the spine a little between the blades? Let's take the left leg up. Breathing in. Front and back joined together. Breathing out. So all this stuff in the front hugs up and in. We even want to firm the left quad if we can find it. Push through the heel. Draw the shoulders down the back. Open up a little bit. Lengthen through the crown and heart center. One more deep breath in. And down on the exhale. And then on the breath. Right leg, left arm. Inhale. Exhale. Second side. Breathing in. Breathing out. Again. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale. Exhale. Again. Right side, right arm, left leg, I should say. And bring it down. We're going to take the right leg and the left arm up and hold. Big inhale, exhale. Work to find front and back together. And then we're going to take the right leg. Don't move your right toes. Keep all 5 toes down. Right leg's going to the right. Left arm is going to the left. And you could even take a little cactus over there on the left side if you needed. Or you can just go straight side. Notice what happens. Try and find your center. Lengthen the crown. Squeeze front and back. Inhale. Both back to center. And we'll exhale. Set it down. And then second side. Breathe it in. So try not to let the left toes go to the left, but just take the left leg to the left. Left arm to the right. Hug the belly back and in. Right arm to the right. Left arm to the left. I don't know what I just said. But keep feeling the middle. Right thigh back. Chest open. Belly on. Inhale, both back to center. And exhale to the earth. Let's open up the heart. Pull it back into downward facing dog. So feel free to walk your feet back as much as you'd like. As wide as you'd like. I like to keep the heels lifted and the knees soft for a few breaths. Find that work from the hands all the way back to the hips. You might gaze at your hands, point your pointer fingers dead ahead. Feel the inner hand grounding and upper arms moving away from each other. Collarbones widening in the front, shoulder blades drifting wide and broad down the back. Let's try and bring the outer upper arm towards the earth, wrapping triceps down. And feeling a little floaty feeling under the wrists, all the way up through the sides of the waist, back to the hips. Feeling the lats take over for the upper traps. Neck is nice and long. You can line your ears up in between your upper arms. And really work those thigh bones, very top of the thighs back, deep into their own hamstrings. And let's take a moment to feel right beneath the backs of the knees there. Push the calves just a hair forward in space. And work to take the very heels down to the earth as the tops of the thighs continue to go back. Stretching open through the entire back of the leg. Another breath or two here. We're going to take another big inhale, plank position. Exhale and plank. Belly to the back. Let's inhale the right leg up an inch or two, but keep it low. Trying to keep it level so the plank doesn't change. Second side. Breathing in. Breathing out. Belly hugs. Tailbone lengthens. Chest reaches forward. And foot down. Deep breath in. We're going to move heart forward and down. Chaturanga. Hug it all together. Go slow. And we'll land on the belly. And we'll take a moment here. Press the tops of the feet. Loop those shoulders down your back. Big breath in. Feel the inner thighs higher than the outer thighs. And squeeze your belly to your back, exhaling, letting the tailbone lengthen back to the heels. And your lower back lengthen along with it. And when we loop the shoulders, the front of the pelvis moves into the earth. We start to rise through the belly and the heart. Shoulders loop down the back, forward and up, and slowly back to the earth. So come up a little higher if it feels good. Breathe in here. Now we're going to stay on the exhale. Squeeze the belly back and in. And see if you can get your chest a little higher, inhaling more. Squeeze the belly to the back. Push the shoulder blades in. Maybe you can come up a little higher. Front of the pelvis should still be grounded. Exhale. Make sure your belly is protecting your low back. One last time. Maybe a little more. Inner hands grounded. Top chest is opening. And exhale. All the breath out. Let's curl the toes. Take a full breath in. Get all the breath out, moving to plank. Inhale and plank. And we'll take it back. Dog pose. Couple breaths. All right, so as you're ready, let's lift the heels high. Soften the knees. Well, rounding your low back, you want to look forward and feel springy. And give yourself a big step or a little light hop. You can take several little steps if you need it. Lengthen out halfway at the top, inner thighs reaching back. Activate your upper back. And then work to fold in. Bend the knees as much as you need to rest your belly on your thighs. You can always take your feet a little wider apart if that feels better. Shake out the head a little bit. The back of the neck. Feel long. Shoulder blades can continue to reach up towards your hips a little bit. Stay out of the ears. And rock around a little on the feet here. Work to find center. So spread from big toe to little toe. Try not to catch the weight in the toes at all, but in the ball of the foot. Under the toes. Back in the heels. So a good way to find those inner arches is to press down right under the big toe and inner heel and see if you can brighten up, lifting the arches up off the earth, all the way up through the inner thighs to the pelvic floor. And a little squeeze from the outer legs inward. Help you find the outer arches. Maybe even a little more softening of the top thighs back. Let's give it a last breath, letting things dangle. Come back out halfway, hands to hips. Squeeze front and back together as you exhale. And then press the shoulders into the back to rise up. And let's take a breath in Tadasana, rooting the tail down And feeling the front of the pelvis lift. So find those wheels again, this big lift through the front and loop down the back through the pelvis. So I'm going to take the palms out maybe to find a little external rotation through the upper arms, and that'll bring a little more ease into getting some breath right back here into your low back to lift. Up, 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 up. Top chest, and then knit, front ribs in. Next breath in, we'll take the arms up. Keep a little lift through the top of the chest and the back of the neck, skull. And on the exhale, swan dive it out. Soft knees, flat back, all the way to empty. Notice where the weight goes in the feet. Can you keep it even? Come out halfway. And back into the thighs. All the breath to empty. All four corners, each foot grounding as you press to rise. And feeling your center, you can go wide side or down the center line. What a real sense of the midline as you get all the breath out. Then we come back in on a fresh breath. Inhaling and exhaling. This time as we lengthen forward, we're going to take the right leg backward. Just pause for a moment in the lunge. I'm going to pull the left hip back, same way we did in our little contralateral stretch. Dropping the left hip to the ground. Top of the right thigh rises, right outer leg hugs in. Trying to feel the pelvis level and the chest wide. And then we'll step it back. Downward facing dog, plank position. Breathe in plank. And breathe out. Knees are straight legs. Chaturanga. From Chaturanga, you can go over the toes, loop the shoulders down the back, and lift all the way into the upward facing dog. Or if it feels best, stick with cobra. And back to down dog on the exhale. We'll take the full breath in and out here. Make any little adjustments you need to be comfortable. And on an inhale, right leg's going to reach for the sky. Exhaling. Shoulders over the wrists, foot up in between the hands. Get longer. From the left heel out through the crown. Deep breath in. Continue to pull the right hip back. Sink it down. Lift the top of the left thigh up. Squeeze it in. One last time. Get long from back heel to crown and exhale. Left knee to the earth. Let's take a breath here. Getting a little longer from the back knee. Feel front and back working together as you bring your hands onto the right thigh for this first one. And give yourself a nice big lift. So we want to feel the front of the pelvis again lifting up off the thigh. You can bring your right hand onto the right hip if you'd like and feel where the pelvis is sitting on the right thigh. Drop the top of the right thigh down. We want to squeeze the belly to the back and see if we can get the pelvis to lift up any amount. Feel the back of the pelvis lengthening. And then work to stack the shoulders over the hips. See if you can sink in any more. It should feel like your right hip is trying to move towards its own heel. We'll take the arms straight forward, breathing in. Shoulder heads down the back, or shoulder heads back and shoulder blades down the back, exhaling, and then up through the arms. You might have to go a little wider. You could always take them into that cactus shape if you need. Spin the pinkies so you get that upper, or the external rotation of the upper arm. Crown reaching straight up, shoulder blades moving into the back. And then belly deep into the back. Bottom sternum to navel, tailbone sacrum to the earth. One last breath. Maybe touch palms, look up if your shoulder blades don't move. And then exhale all the way down. Power up the back leg, breathing in. And step into the front leg, breathing out. Let's lengthen out halfway, inhaling. Fold a little deeper on the exhale. Press through the feet, rise to stand, inhaling. And all the way to empty. Breath out. Come back in on a fresh breath. All the way to empty. Swan diving. Heart reaching forward and left leg moving backward. Sink in. Give it a breath. Right hip once again dropping. Left leg firming. Hugging the middle. Inhale fully. Exhale. Step back. Inhaling and plank. Knees are straight, legs chat. Up dog or cobra. and back. Downward facing dog. Full breath in. Full breath out. Left leg's going up on a fresh breath. Right up in between the hands. Let's get a little longer breathing in. And a little more solid as you breathe out. One more time. Pull left thigh back. Top of right thigh to sky. Open up through the chest. And then right knee to the earth. Keeping left knee on top of the ankle. Breathe in to find length. Exhale, squeeze belly to back. And bring the hands onto the thigh to give yourself a lift off. Play the same way. See if you can feel the very, very top of your left hip where it does tilt forward onto the thigh bone. Try to lift it up. And feel that pelvic wheel spinning up through the front, down through the back. Squeezing the belly to the back and using the breath to help you out. We want to lift the top chest, press the shoulder blades into the back, loop them down, and then a little knit in through the front, bottom sternum to navel. You should really feel an opening through the front of the top of the right thigh, maybe deep in the inner groin. Once you're down low in the hips, arms straight out, inhale. Upper arms back as you exhale. Feel the tailbone earthing, and take the arms up. Couple breath here. Working the upper arms back behind the ears without thrusting those front ribs forward. We squeeze in and lengthen lower back, sinking down, and then reaching up. One last breath. Maybe touch palms, look up. Hands down on the exhale. Pop the back leg, breathing in. And step it to the front leg, breathing out. Let's get longer on the inhale. Deeper on the exhale. Press to rise to stand. And take it down the center all the way out. Let's come in on a fresh breath now. Surya Namaskar A. Exhale. As you plant your hands, reach your heart. Step it back if you need, or float. Land light and chat. Choose Cobra Up Dog. And all the way back to downward facing. Couple deep breaths. All the breath out on your next exhale. Bend the knees. Sink your hips round through your lower back and look way forward beyond your hands. Step or float. Halfway reaching. When you get to the top, empty it out. And press to rise all the way back up. Down the center. Front and back. Hugging in. Lengthening the tailbone down. Inhaling those back ribs up. All the way to the fingers. And exhaling, fold deep. One last time. Lengthen your heart forward. Step or float it back. Chat. Up dog or cobra. Back to downward facing. Just feeling back into hands and feet here in the dog pose. Maybe taking everything over to the right side. All the way there. Over to the left side. And right into center. Try and commit to both evenly. Back to the top of the mat as you're ready. Heels high. Soften the knees. Get in low. Step or float. And lengthen out. Deepen in. Rising up. Soft knees for a flat back. And down the center line. Rooting in. All the breath out. Let's touch the earth and drop down into chair pose, Ketosis. Sink your hips low. Inhale the arms up. Again, we're trying to get those upper arms back behind the ears. Lower front ribs squeezing down and in to support the length of the low back. Notice where your knees are. Can you pull the bottom shins back towards the heels and maybe get your knees a little over top the ankles, and then soften the inner thighs enough that you can widen the back of the pelvis and sit in low. And then you press the shoulders in to try and get a little higher. And if anything's available, knees back, outer shins in, and inner thighs down, sitting low. One more breath. Lift up, shoulders pressing into the back. Exhale, fold it out. Inhale, halfway. Exhale all the way. I'm going to rise back to chair, inhaling. And stand tall. Exhale. Hands to the heart. Take a peaceful breath all the way in. And all the breath out. So once again, let's drop in chair pose. Inhale fully. Exhale. Feel yourself in nice and deep. Sit in low as you can. All the weight to the left foot. So what has to happen to get the right foot up off the earth an inch or two? Right. See if you can keep the chair pose. Set the right foot down. So my right hip has to pull back and right outer leg squeeze the midline to keep holding things together. Left foot up. Sit in low. Inhale, exhale it down. Breathe in. Breathe out, fold over the thighs. Inhale, halfway. Exhale deeper. Let's inhale to chair. And exhale. Press and rise. All the breath out. All right, back to chair pose. Inhale. Exhale, sink in. All the way to the left foot. We're going to take the right leg up and over top the left. Squeeze everything together. Right arm goes under. Left arm goes over, and then we want to see how tall we can get the spine. Shoulder heads back and down. How much can you squeeze everything together in the middle? Can you pull the left thigh back? Sink it down like the chair. Keep hugging the right outer hip in. Trying to get higher. And level. Give it another breath. And if you would like, you can stay as you are, or you can try and round in. Elbows in front of the knees. All the way to empty. Come back up, inhaling. Watch your balance. Gets dicey. Exhale. Let it go. Inhale. And exhale. Bring it down. Touch the earth. Breathe in. We're going to try the other side. Exhale all the way to the right foot. Sit it back. Left leg up and over. Left arm under, right arm over on this side. Lift it up as much as you can. The elbows move away from your body, but the shoulder blades are still trying to pull down the back. And as much as you can feel all four corners of the right foot in the earth. Pull the right thigh straight back. Squeeze the left hip in. Give it another breath. And if you're good for it, work to keep it low and round in. All the breath out. Inhale back up. Exhale, release. To the inhale. Fly away. And we'll exhale. Back to center. Coming back in on a fresh breath. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold it out. Lengthen and step or float, Chaturanga. Up dog or cobra. And we land back in dog pose. Taking the right leg up and back on a fresh breath in. And we're going to step it up in between the hands on the exhale. Left foot a little to the left. Beautiful place to use your blocks to give yourself a little ease. Right? Want to find that same length and extension through the spine. So right foot is well grounded. Weight back into the right heel. Pull it back into the right hip. Sink your right hip towards the earth. And get the weight moving into the left foot. We want to lift through the left inner arch, grounding the outside edge of the left foot, and making buoyant that inner leg so you feel even a lifting and brightening all the way up past the knee. And then we squeeze the left outer leg in towards the middle. And that's what's going to move that left inner thigh back. Widen the back of the pelvis. Can you feel the tailbone lengthening towards your left heel and lengthen all the way from left heel to crown? I'm going to exhale, belly to back, arms out by the ears. And we keep dropping that right hip, pulling it back. Squeezing left outer thigh in, allowing that left inner thigh to roll back to find Virabhadrasana 1. So can you drop down a little lower? Can you feel the front of the pelvis and lift it up off the right thigh? Pulling the right hip back, down and hugging it in, and squeezing front and back together till the front moves into the back, and the lower back gets longer. Then last breath, if you want to look up, touch palms. Inhale, exhale to the earth. Through your vinyasa. We'll meet back, and downward facing dog. Left leg up right away, big inhale. Right up in between the hands now as you exhale. Little hop. And then come on to fingertips or blocks. Be gentle with yourself to an extent. Ground the inner foot. Pull the left hip back, sink it down. Hug it in. Transfer that weight back to the right leg. Press down right under the big toe and inner heel of the right foot to lift the right inner arch. And brighten up all the way through that right inner thigh. Then when we squeeze right outer leg towards the midline, we get the inside of the right leg softening back. More space through the back of the pelvis. So if you can find some length, right heel to crown. Squeeze the belly to the back. And exhale your arms out by your ears. The tailbone drops and the torso rises, inhaling. Keep pulling left thigh back. Grounding right heel and squeezing right outer thigh in. Softening right inner thigh back. Give it a couple breaths. Coming back to the wheels, right? Feeling the front of the pelvis rising. Back of the pelvis lengthening earthward. Can you get any more breath? And that kidney area and back breathing in. Bottom turn of navel breathing out. Keeping all that. Will the upper arms move back anymore? Will your belly move deeper? Can you make your tailbone feel like a third leg to the earth? Last breath. Take it to the earth. All the way to empty. And we'll meet in down dog. Open it up. And pull it back. Couple deep breaths. Sometimes it's fun to play with contralateral actions while you're hanging out in down dog. What if you press the right hand and the left foot? And then you switch it, right foot, left hand. And then both sides evenly. Let's get the right leg moving up and back on a fresh breath in. I'm just going to step it up into Virabhadrasana 1. Rooting the back heel, rising to the top for a breath, inhale. Be mindful, pelvic wheel lifting, back body rising, and exhale to the ground. Through your vinyasa, or skip vinyasas whenever you need. Always feel free to rest in child's pose, or just breathe yourself back to down dog and hang out. So we rise again, left leg up. Step it up. Root it down and rise. Pulling left thigh back, squeezing right outer leg in. And front and back working together. So tailbone to the earth, lift through the front of the pelvis. Lengthen the back pelvis down. Lift through the back ribs. And bottom sternum to navel. Hands down, step it back. Empty yourself out. And we'll meet back in dog pose. Couple breaths. So one last round, a little variation. Right leg's going up, inhaling. Right up in between the hands, exhaling. We're going to take it up into Virabhadrasana 1. One breath to the top. Working your wheels, coming down. Let's just hop that back leg back and set the left knee down. So lengthen out here, left hand to the inner right foot, and right hand's going to go back to catch the left foot. So if you can't quite catch it, you can take both hands to the inside of the right foot, take more of a lizardy variation here, Or again, the right hip sinking towards its own heel. So right thigh pulls back, squeezes the middle. Left outer leg might hug in enough that you can really feel the inside of the left leg softening back. Plenty of room for the back of the pelvis. And where you get your heel hugging in, you'll feel a stretch to the very front of the left thigh. You might come all the way down onto your forearm if you have plenty of mobility here. Just keep lengthening forward and out. Spine, one long line. From the back knee out the ground. Right hip sinking, hugging in. One last breath. And we'll release. Step it into plank. Inhaling. Exhale, Chaturanga. Up dog or cobra. And we'll head over to the other side. Downward dog. Left leg going up. You're at Tadasana 1. Inhale to the top. Exhale to the earth. Inhaling as your lunge with the back knee down on the exhale. Right hand inside the left foot. Left hand back to catch the right. Open up the chest. Try and keep everything square as possible. Keep pulling that left hip back, sinking it down, hugging the left outer hip in. Even the right outer thigh can hug in some to soften the right inner thigh. And bring a deeper stretch into the inner groins, front of the right thigh. So keep hugging the heel in if that feels right. Opening up the chest and maybe coming all the way down onto the right forearm if you get the left forearm on the earth. And see where you can get a deeper stretch into the front of that right quad. Right deep into the middle belly of the muscle if you can find it. And when you're ready, release, exhale. Inhale, back leg up. And plank. Breathing in and out. Up dog or cobra. And we'll land back in downward facing dog. And we'll take a couple breaths there. So when you're ready, we're going to move it back to the top of the mat. You can lift the heels high, soften the knees deep. Strong, straight arms. Think handstand as you hop. Land light. Lengthen out. Deepen in. Up through the chair. And all the way to stand. So hands to hips is a nice way to open up here. We're going to just take a wide step out to the side. I usually recommend we open up through the arms and see where we can get our ankles. If we can line ankles and wrists up, that's usually pretty good. And then we're going to set up for Virabhadrasana 2 on the right side. So right toes dead ahead, left heel back. I like heel to heel. Some people like a little narrower. But the work is to let this left hip go neutral and then to feel the right leg doing the work. So ground the inner foot. Try and spread across from big toe to little toe. Even if you want to lift the right heel a millimeter off the ground, it'll help to turn the whole front and back of the leg on. Want to feel the right hip and right outer leg, right from the outer knee to outer hip, kind of pulling back a little in space. And that right outer hip turns on. We want to roll the right thigh bone towards the right. It's going to bring the right sitting bone down under the body and a little towards the left. So we do start to externally rotate the femur. And when you open your arms up, we feel the left side waist, left side ribs pulling back to the left. So the lower body is going more right, the upper body is going more left. So we're separating ourselves in the transverse plane for this one. Opening up the chest, continue that external rotation of the front leg, back leg stays neutral. And how long can you get out through the left side or the right side? Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Right? We'll bring it down for a triangle pose. Opening up the chest. Continue the work of the right outer thigh hugging under. The left thigh pulling straight back. And let's lean into those shoulder blades. Sometimes it helps to use a block, because if you plant your right hand on something, you can draw that right shoulder down the back. And really feel it as a little platform to lean into and squeezing front ribs in. Right? We can find that length through the low back and maybe more breath into the back ribs. Can you find the wheel here through the ribs? And how about through the pelvis when we go sideways, right? So give it a last breath. Come all the way up when you're ready. Inhale, and we're going to exhale, switch it out. So, same setup we do for Warrior Two, but moving to Triangle Pose. So feel free to have a block handy if it's helpful. Now let's bring the left toes dead ahead, heel to heel or a little narrower. Right hip in neutral, so it is going to kind of roll in the same direction as the toes. Left toes dead ahead, and if you push the ball mound of the foot and lift the heel up at any amount, you can really firm the entire leg, front and back of it. Bring the whole leg down, trying to soften the inside. That's where we're stretching, but get a little tone through the outside, so it feels like you're pulling from outer knee or a little pinky toe side of the foot all the way back to the outer hip. And you're asking that left thigh bone to roll to the left. Sitting bone's going to head under towards the right. So when we open the arms, right ribs and right belly move rightward. Get tall and lengthen out. Keep those actions going. So when you touch down, the legs still continue to do the same work. External rotation of the left thigh. Right leg neutral, but pulling straight back for space. And front and back then working together. Left shoulder blade down the back. And can you make the left side as long as the right side is always a good question to ask here. Maybe you need to soften the top side a little bit. And breathe. So give it another breath. Let's inhale up. Exhale, shift. Hands to hips if you need. Right toes dead ahead. Find the same deal. Open up through the arms. Now we're going to bend the knee, second warrior. But the same actions occur. So we get a deeper stretch through the right inner thigh as we pull back a little more through the right outer knee to outer hip. Can you get low? Can you let that left hip stay neutral? Pulling left, inner leg straight back, and a little more belly and heart. Moving leftward as the right thigh moves rightward. Give it a last breath here. And then we're going to go for side angle. So keep dropping that right hip down and under and lengthen out through the right side. Elbow to thigh is a great place to enjoy. Left arm straight to the sky. Again, if you can get the hand down onto a block, high or as low as you need, to feel the shoulder blade down the back. Feel right arm and right leg moving into each other. Feel that right outer hip moving back and under towards the left. And then the left leg pulling back to make room. Can you let the hips stay as they are and roll up through the belly and the heart? So it helps to take maybe the left palm forward and reach it over the ear. And then we're going to lean back into those shoulder blades, rolling from the belly and the chest, keeping the leg steady, opening up. Give it another breath or two here. Right outer leg pulling back, right outer hip hugging, right sitting bone under, and then belly and heart up on top of that right side. Let's inhale all the way up and exhale. One last breath here, dropping in. Good. As you're ready, straighten up. Turn the toes, hands to hips, second side. Left toes out, right heel. Open up. Breathing in. Bend the knee deep. Feel the left thigh bone spinning left. Right thigh staying neutral but pulling straight back. And then the right side of your body has to move a little more to the right as the hips are holding left. When you're feeling steady, lengthen out through the left side. Forearm to thigh, right arm to the sky. Get down onto your block or the earth, whatever's working. We want to deepen the shoulder blades down. Keep feeling that left hip under, right inner thigh bright. Maybe spin the right palm forward, shoulders well down the back. Reaching the arm up and over. Will hip stay neutral. Left hip back, down and under towards the right. Tailbone to the right heel, front and back, moving into each other. And one long line from that right heel out. Keep breathing. Good. And then when you're ready, we'll rise it back up. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale to move to straight. Turn it open. As you exhale. We'll set up once again, breathing in, breathing out. Good. Inhale for length. And exhale. Let's come down to your block. Keep rolling open. This time we're going to keep the left arm straight up if we can. You might bring it down onto your hip for a little more ease. We're going to transition to the half moon. So your block is going to go little toe side of the right foot. We're going to try and draw that left toe in. Get the block right under your shoulder if you're using it, or hand stacked under, so you can brighten up through the left inner thigh. And that right thigh continues to roll to the right. So we use the strength of the belly, squeezing it into the back to lengthen the tail all the way to left heel. And press the shoulder blades in. Open up through the chest. If you would like Chaturanga here, you can bend your left foot and take it with your left hand. Try and keep a nice, strong sense of Ardha Chandrasana on the right as you kick your left foot back a little bit for a little quad stretch. You could imagine your head coming back to touch your foot too if you'd like. And then open it back up, strong belly. Hold, and then back for a deep step towards our extended side angle. Moving back to second warrior. Sink it in. And straighten it up. Turn and go for the second side. Big inhale, exhale. As many breaths as you need to find yourself moving out. Let's keep the right arm straight up. Left hand can move to the block or the earth. As we reach out and rise up. Float through the right inner leg. Continue to externally rotate the left femur. Front body into the back body, bottom sternum to navel. Can you get more breath into those back ribs? Lean back into the shoulder blades. And feel that extension through the crown, tailbone to the right heel. Crown dead ahead. Chaturanga, if you did it on the first side, which is the quad stretch here, as you breathe. Gotta have a nice firm middle when you release the leg. And step it back slowly. Try and land all the way back. Press up. All right, and then straighten it out. Hands to hips. All right, let's turn it back to the top of the mat. Give it a step. And breathe. Bring all that together with a vinyasa. Arms up. Exhale, fold deep. Lengthen out halfway, step or float, Chaturanga. Up dog or cobra. And we'll land back in downward facing dog. All the breath to empty. If you need a child's pose, you can take one for a moment, but we're not going to be long. We are headed back to the top of the mat. So when you're ready, the heels rise. Soften the knees, step or float. Lengthen out. Deepen in. And rise on up to stand. All right. Down the center line. All the breath out. And we're going to find our way into tree pose. So let's stand on the left leg. And same kind of actions we need often to stabilize. This left leg has to hug the middle. And the right foot's going to press up nice and high to the left inner thigh. So hands on the hips. See if you can feel both of your frontal hips moving dead ahead. So oftentimes the knees a little forward to the pelvis, but we are still rolling the thigh to the right, trying to create a little external rotation and squeezing the left thigh in to find the middle. So tail to the earth, hands at the heart. Right? Whenever we bring the hands together, it's a symbol of unity. Balance. Coming up through the arms if that feels good. Continue to push inner and outer together. Outer left. Right foot to the inner. And see if you can find straight up and down. So really reach those arms straight. Pull down through the thumb side of the arms. Reach to the pinkies. feel the pelvis level. And then see if you can really bring the bottom sternum to navel, tail to the earth. Upper arms back any amount by the ears. And keep working those two. Tail down, front pelvis up. Arms going back. So if you'd like to bring the hands together and try and pull those upper arms back further, you got to try and keep the front ribs in and get longer, more spacious. One last breath, and we'll release it. Shake it out a little bit, let it go, and take the second side. So left foot high, right outer thigh squeezing. I'm going to feel the left thigh rolling out. Pelvis as level as you can find, so right and left, nice and even, kappa feel. And I always need to take more weight to the inner foot. Probably more weight back into the heel. Tail on back there. Just trying to feel the center, hands at the heart, right and left there through the legs. Pelvis in the middle, and when you got as balanced as you can get, the arms express themselves up. Let me give it a few breaths here. When you're feeling steady, we're still hugging right and left together, but now we're going up and down. Can you try and get the shoulders into the back for as much chest widening and opening as possible, but then bottom sternum in, so we feel those wheels. The front of the pelvis lifting, woo, back of the pelvis lengthening, and then the back of the ribs lifting, and the front ribs hug it in. And with all that going on, can you get those upper arms back any amount? Can you keep the tailbone rooting and the chest widening? So much fun. And when you've had enough, you let it go, you shake it out. And you can take a moment to move yourself through a vinyasa if you'd like, or you can just move straight up to a wall. I think that'll be helpful. If you're not going upside down for any reason, you can come back to tree pose, and you can do that all over again. And just play around there, because we are going to try and get our fingers to the wall. I always get the pointer fingers to the wall so we can really externally rotate upper arms. And then find a leg. We're going to lift it to the sky, swing it on up, and when you're upside down, just work to try and bring those lower 12 rib area to the wall. So can you get the rib cage, the back of those low ribs to the earth, but then shoulder blades off the wall. So your 12th ribs are touching, but your shoulder blades are not. And then inner thighs rolling in towards the wall, tailbone up, 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 towards the heels. And breathing. So maybe you can hang out here and play with tree pose. Press the right foot down into the left inner thigh. And feel the middle. Try not to let it go sideways. What happens as your shoulder blades come to the wall? Did you round through your back? Or can you keep the length and reach up? Right. And when you've had enough of that fun, you just come on down and you take a rest, folding in half. Shake a little something out. Give it a breath. Dangling down. And then it's time for the second side. Or just be with your own rhythm. Right. Trying to kick up with the opposite leg if you can. My right arm likes to bend, so my right leg likes to kick. When my left leg kicks, my right arm has to work stronger. So it's the awkward side for me. Trying to get the low back to the wall. Not really the low back, but the low ribs. 12th rib to the wall, shoulder blades off the wall. Inner thighs together, tailbone up. Heels up, 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 up. Left leg down, tree. What happened to the middle? What happened to the shoulders? What happened to the low back? It's wild. Breathe. And when you're ready, take it on down. Fold in. Let it go. All right. Everything's better in threes, right? So we're going to do one more. Or you're going to rest. You choose. But if you can, try and do both legs together on this one. Call it the donkey kick. So you got to be able to whoppa. Take them both up. Shoulder blades off the wall, but lower back to the wall. Tailbone up through those inner thighs to the heels. Can you get everything a millimeter off the wall? And breathe, 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 breathe. Press through those hands. And when you've had enough, come down to rest. This last one you might fold into the wall, or you might turn yourself around. I'm just tired of showing you my backside. So you can just take a moment here. Tangle. Relax and release. When you feel like you've got your breath, we'll rise to stand and move ourselves back to the top of the mat. All right. So back through a Surya Namaskara A, or if you're missing that chair pose, you just drop in for the inhale, and exhale, fold out over the thighs. Lengthen forward, step or float back. Vinyasa or don't. And we'll meet in downward dog. And then we'll drop to child's pose. So enjoy a moment here. Feel free to take your arms out of the equation, all the way back by the hips if you'd like, so your shoulders can rest on your knees. And if you're a person whose shoulders don't rest on their knees, you put blocks in front of your knees, and your shoulders can rest on the blocks. So find a little support for those shoulders where they get to rest, because they just worked like crazy. Pushing those shoulder blades into the back is a lot of work for most of us. Well, doing that without going into a banana shape. So let's come on down, bring the forearms to the earth. And from here, you can use whatever props you need to stay comfortable. Some people like a block in between the hands, but elbows right under the shoulders, upper arms back, down, and in. We're going to go to Dolphin Pose for a few breaths. Shoulders deep into the back. Feel free to lift the heels, bend the knees, and do it the same way we get into dog pose. Really working those shoulder blades in, lengthening from the elbows back to the sides. And then, as you get front and back integrated, feel free to work the legs straight. Firm up the fronts of the legs, lift the kneecaps. Try and ground the calves and the heels down. And you're more than welcome to just hang here in the dolphin. Add some leg lifts. Do some little kick-ups. Make your way upside down if that's feeling appropriate for you today. I'm going to give my shoulders a break and just let them enjoy dolphin. So just give it another moment. And then we're going to walk it all the way back into a forearm plank. Yay. Front and back. Continue to integrate. And then pelvis all the way to the earth. Sphinx pose. So you do want your elbows a little forward maybe of the shoulders. And front of the pelvis on the earth. All 10 toenails able to ground. And as you press through the tops of the feet, spread out through the toes, inner thighs to the sky. Tailbone back to the heels, exhaling, get your belly up off the earth. Try and feel the front of the pelvis lifting up here. Feel that wheel, up through the front. Down through the back, tailbone back, 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 and down. Doesn't get stuck because you're squeezing your glutes together. Can you soften the glutes? Let that tailbone move back and down. And then give yourself a little more lift through the shoulders. Upper arms back. Shoulder blades down the back. Press those shoulder blades in. Open up. Feel the entire front of the pelvis on the ground. Let's try and bend here at the right knee. Catch the right foot with the right hand. We're back for another quad stretch. You can line the fingers up with the toes. Try and ground both sides of the pelvis evenly. And then draw that left shoulder back. Loop the right shoulder back and push it forward. And your heel's going kind of out to the right at our hip, like a half Tadasana. So keep breathing. Trying to feel the hips square on the ground. And the shoulders trying to square off with the hips. It's a little bit of contralateral stuff. And we'll let it go for the second side. Couple breath here. Right upper arm back, And the left shoulder blade loops down the back. And the bottom tip of the left shoulder blade pushes forward. And if you're feeling that back leg, feel that left heel outer, left hip, but left inner thigh reaching straight back. Can you feel the opening through the heart? And a little balance in the chest. And when you're feeling even on both sides, we'll let go. Give it a moment to relax. Waggle it out. We're going to bend the knees. Catch the feet with both hands. Take a deep breath in. All the breath out, belly up. Tailbone back and in. And then tops of the thighs pressing down. Let's lift the chest. Kick the shins back a little bit. Exhale. Squeeze the belly, lengthen the tail even more. And then try and lift thighs up and chest up. Couple breath here. One more. Big, 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 big inhale. And exhale. All the breath out. So you can take a little baby cobra to find your way back to child's pose. And enjoy a breath or two here. We'll walk the hands back, so we're sitting on the heels. If you'd like, you can put a block in between your heels. And just use the feet like a little saddle. Heels will go out a little bit to the sides and give yourself a place to sit right in between. And we'll bring the hands to the heart. Come up onto the knees. And let's not curl the toes under today. Let's press the feet flat. I think get a little more with that action. You might even use your blocks to the inner or outer heels if it's not easy for you to catch the heels rather than turn the toes. Just see if that works out a little better for you. Otherwise, everything that's touching ground is going to press down and spread out. You want to feel the very tops of the thighs moving back, back of the pelvis wide, and then the wheels. Front of the pelvis lifting, back of the pelvis lengthening. With your hands at your heart, you can move the upper arms back, shoulder blades down and in, and then front ribs also into the navel. So give it another breath. Feel those actions going on. And as you'd like, you can bring your hands back behind you. Some people like the hands on the low back, right around the pelvis to help lengthen tail and feel the back of the pelvis going down. Go ahead for that if you'd like, and then loop those shoulders down. Try and lift up. Chin in. So you're gazing down on your cheeks. You want to squeeze the belly back and in. Feel the tailbone root to those inner knees. And then lift up, pressing those shoulders back into the back without throwing your head back. Just keeping front and back working together. And then you might be able to come down and touch the heels. Let the inner thighs continue to roll back and soften in. You want to feel the tailbone moving earthward. A little return, bottom sternum and navel. And then this hands press down so you get a big pop. Shoulder blades go up, 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 and in. And chin in, back of the neck long. Give it another breath. And slowly return on an exhale, squeezing the belly. Sit down for a moment. And we'll come up for another round of camel. So, coming up when you're ready. Tops of the feet down, inner thighs back, tail to the earth. And however you'd like to get there. Hands on the low back. Sometimes it's fun to play with that interlace. Upper arms back, front in. And then where can you get that lift and length up without losing the wheels? So the front pelvis is lifting. Back pelvis is lengthening. Lift up into those kidneys. Squeeze in through the front. Can you keep all that? And keep going back and down. Get a hold of something. So there are deeper variations. Lagha Vajrasana. I'm not going to get all the way there. But if you take your hands to your calves, And keep this lifting and keep lowering back now. Chest stays wide. You're going to try and touch your head to the earth or get low, and then make sure you got enough. Bring yourself all the way back up. If you do it, attempt to go back down. And sit back onto the heels. All right. Enjoy your breath. Let's get the blocks and stuff out of the way. We'll move on to our back. If you feel like you, or I should say keeps the blocks nearby, in case you would prefer a supported bridge rather than some active back bending on the back. So we are going to enjoy 2 more back bends, and you can do as you please here. You can move to bridge pose or right into Urdhva Dhanurasana. You should be warm enough for it. Now we'll start moving through bridge, feet flat, inner thighs soft, all 4 corners of the feet on the ground. All the breath out. Feel the length of the low back, and lift through the tip of the tail up, rising up onto the shoulder heads. Let's squeeze the belly back and in here. Then we'll take the arms straight up on an inhale. Let's draw those shoulder heads down, maybe even walk them back a little bit so you can really pull down through those upper arms. Move the spine up in between the shoulder blades. Yeah, and then feel free to take the elbows down next. Feel yourself standing on your shoulders and continue to squeeze outer shins, outer thighs, and enough inner thighs soften down. Tailbone lengthens up and out. If you want to grab the outside edges of the mat, you can pull the mat apart. Continue to open up the chest. Lengthen out a little here. So give it a last breath. Or if you're going up, you can release your hands and place them under the shoulders. Right? Squeeze the elbows, pop to the crown, and then take yourself all the way up to Urdhva Dhanurasana. From here, you might get the heels up. Walk in a little bit. Try and get the heels back down. Inner foot to the earth. Shoulders deep into the back. Everything working strong. So open you wide. And then coming all the way back down when you're ready. Enjoying a couple breaths. And then we got one more. So stick with bridge. All the way up into Urdhva Dhanurasana if you prefer it. Rising when you're ready. To the earth. And then a rest. Feet as wide as you'd like. Knees knock in. Arms straight up once again. Put shoulder blades up off the ground. And we'll reach around the outsides to grab them. If you prefer the eagle arms, you can. This is a little softer. Another side. Arms up. Opposite arm on top. And when you're ready, let's take the arms up and overhead. Squeeze the knees in, exhale. Draw it all together. Nose, knees. Rock yourself up. Stretch it back out for the danda. Sitting bones wide apart. So here's where you might like those blankets again. And a nice way to use them is to take this little angled edge where it's nice and rounded. And this is what we're going to place in the front. Actually, I did pull it way back here so you can see me. But that little piece of the triangle is going to go right in between. That way you get your sitting bones grounded. Get your legs out ahead, and you still got room for your hands on either side. Let's bring the right leg over top the left leg. And grounding the right foot, you could step your left hip back a little bit in space so you feel your hips a little bit twisted towards the right. Left leg and head as far right as it feels good. You can even bend at the knee, drawing that hip in. or the heel in towards your hip. So we want to be able to get tall here, lift through the crown. Really ground the right foot down, right sitting bone, and left sitting bone. Those are 3 points. They're kind of a little triangle there. So get as tall as you can, rooting down, feeling all 3 of those points on the earth, and then pull yourself around to the right. Keep lifting and lengthening up, and head around to the right side. Right shoulder blade drops down the back. Left arm could rise up and hook over top right leg. You might be able to pull the shoulders down and get a little taller here. And then continue to work yourself around to the right. Just notice if your right ribs have popped to the right side. Can you squeeze them back towards the middle? Keeping the right sitting bone grounded, lengthen up and around. All the breath out. That left upper arm pulling back, shoulder blade down and moving in. Give it another full breath in and go all the way over the right shoulder if it's available. Full inhale here, and we'll unwind the head on the exhale. Look over the left shoulder, and then unwind the rest of the spine. Breathe in, straightening out the legs. And we'll breathe out, second side. Get tall, make whatever adjustments you did on the first side. Feel both sitting bones equally grounded. Maybe the left hip moves back a little bit. This brings a little ease in for your sacrum and low back. Left foot grounds and both sitting bones to the earth. Try to get tall. Move left. Use the right arm to help. And start to use the left arm to help too. So both shoulder blades working into the upper back. Down and in to widen the front out. And both sitting bones evenly grounded. And when you're feeling it, right arm can go up and around the left leg. And then we want to get taller. Trying to squeeze even the left side waist inward towards the midline enough that we don't find ourselves collapsing to the left. Lifting straight up, rooting straight down. Working the shoulders into the back. Let's move to the left. Last couple breaths. Big breath in, all the way to empty. Inhale fully. Exhale, we'll look to the right. All the breath out. And unwind. Straighten the legs out. And we're going to enjoy a nice big Upavista Konasana. So you can use the hands to help. Push yourself forward and out. You might need to make a little adjustment with your blankets to make sure you're grounded. And a little pull back through the heels if it helps to keep the legs engaged, because you don't want to overstretch the backs of the knees here. Try and lift your kneecaps up with your quads. Give it a big inhale. We're going to exhale, twist to the left. Lengthen up and bring your hands down either side of the left leg. Trying to keep all 10 toes to the sky. Breathe in. And we're going to breathe out, folding out. Or keep your right sitting bone grounded. Keep lengthening and folding. So similar to the cross-legged twist we did in the beginning, you want to feel maybe a little more stretch through the right. Lengthening out and folding in, spine on top of the left leg if it'll go there. And try and draw all those shoulders down the back, away from the ears. Squeeze front and back together. And just open into whatever's possible here. Notice if that right sitting bone started to get light. Right, keep it anchored. You can always take the right hand and the left hand, if you'd like, to the left foot. Help pull yourself out there a little bit. Sometimes it feels good to use the left hand like an outrigger out to the left, because it can help you hug the left side waist back and in a little bit more. Maybe find a little deeper twist through the belly. And a little deeper fold. Sometimes the deeper we twist, the more we forget about the right hip. It starts to fly away. So last couple breaths, make sure the hips are grounded. Fold in whatever feels best. And we can just round in those last couple breaths, letting things go. Come back out for some length. Inhale. And we'll exhale. Walk it around to center. Again, lengthen out here. And then we'll fold in nice and deep. Keep all 10 toes up, push out through those heels. Open up the chest, pull the upper arms back. Sometimes it helps to spin the biceps up. Maybe try and work the elbows down. And when we do forward bend, you're going to feel those sitting bones back behind you. Right, and the chest reaching forward and out. So it's more like you're on the tops of the thighs. If there's any more, go for it. Last few breaths. Make sure that the last couple here, just find all that length and you fold in. And then you work to soften and relax a little something. Can't go totally passive, but just soften the tongue, the jaw, around the eyes, maybe a little rounding through the spine. Back up on the fingertips and use the exhale to back yourself up. Again, sit tall and then a little twist to the right. Continue to move rightward. Head tall, chest wide. And when you're ready for it, left arm can go up. We're going to head out for the right foot. Try and pull yourself forward. You can use the right arm out to the right side to help you to move into a little bit more of a twist. And find the length. Keep pushing. Big toe inner heel out, pulling back a little toe on the right foot. Sinking the right hip heavy. And the left one. Right. Continue to find length. Keep a little softness in the back of the knee. By keeping a little knee bend. And you want to feel the left side stretching more than the right side. Finding any place with the hands that helps. And we give it a last couple breaths here. Fold out and flop in. Inhale for length. Right, exhale. Walk it on back. Or I'm sorry, what am I talking about? We're walking around to the center. Got to get back into the middle. So last couple breaths here, back through center. Sitting bones are back behind you, crown's reaching forward, chest wide. Backs of the legs are going to open. And let's come up. Big inhale. Use the exhale to sit tall. Walk it back and bring the legs together with a little help with the hands. Feel free to come on off your blankets. Have your blocks nearby as you might like them. Towards the end of practice here, we are going to move on to our back next. You can put a block either side of your legs. And as you lie down, feet flat, hands flat by the hips, shoulders well down the back, legs straight up to the sky. We're going to push through the heels. Pull back through the little toes. Deep breath in, exhale. Haul the breath out. Feel that little tuck of the tail, kind of up towards the heels, just enough to flatten your back a bit. And then inhale. Lift through the chest. You can choose to keep your lower back flat or find a little natural curve there. It really depends on how strong you are. And we're going to exhale lower. About a third of the way down. Inner thighs soften. Tailbone continues to lengthen out. And with a little natural curve in your low back, you really are working those intrinsic deep core muscles. With your back flat, you're just getting a little more support. Let's lower down another third. Couple breaths. And then as low as you can go. A breath or two. Breathe in. Breathe out to bring the legs up. Inhale. And exhale, knees in towards the chest. Let's grab the inner shins, inner ankles here. And let those inner thighs soften, the soles of the feet come together. And then when you set your feet down, you could take your blocks under the outer thighs, outer shins, for some support. So make sure your lower back feels long, spacious. Back of the pelvis feels wide. You could take your arms wide side. Or anywhere that really they feel best. Shoulder blades well grounded. Just make sure that everything feels just right so that you can start to prepare for Shavasana. Every exhale, an opportunity to relax and release and let go. You can use Supta Baddha Konasana as your Shavasana, or if you would prefer to straighten your legs out. You're more than welcome to move in that direction whenever you're ready. Ready to move it back into life. Come back to some deeper breathing. Or continue to stay in Shavasana. It's a good place to rest until you're ready to get up. Could be a good 10, 15 minutes there. But if you've got a little kind of familiar movement going back at the edges, you can set the feet flat, breathe the arms overhead, roll off to the side and press gently up to sit. And enjoy a moment coming back to that place where we started. Elevate the hips if you'd like. Take a moment to get grounded through the pelvis and uplifted through the crown. Feel into any changes in the body-mind. Back to hands at the heart, that symbol of unity and oneness. And a bow to the one breath and the one life that moves through us all. A moment of gratitude, grateful for all the blessings that we receive. We ask that all beings everywhere know happiness and peace. Om Shanti. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a beautiful Sunday afternoon.